Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, Miss. My name is Aulia Yasmin with NIM 332100072, and today I would like to explain about the problem that has been uploaded for the second project of applied linguistic. So, without any further ado, let's move to the first problem. Problem one. Mr. Thompson is a linguist studying the use of language in news reporting. He is particularly interested in how language can convey bias, shape public opinion, and influence the perception of news events. Mr. Thompson analyzes articles from various news outlets covering the same event to identify linguistic patterns that may indicate bias. He also considers the impact of these linguistic choices on the audience, understanding, and interpretation of the news. So the question, what is language filters? Should Mr. Thompson focus to identify bias in news reporting? Discuss at least 3 features and explain how they can contribute to bias reporting. Okay, so we're gonna move to the first features. The first features is news or news judgment. News in applied linguistics involves analyzing how language shapes and is shaped by news media, focusing on critical discourse and analysis, framing, and language ideologies to understand public perception and societal impact. In journalism, news judgment is the process by which journalists determine the news worthiness of stories based on criteria like relevance, impact, timelines, and human interest while balancing ethical considerations such as accuracy and fairness. Both fields interest in exploring how language influences news production and consumption, emphasizing the importance of media literacy and critical thinking in evaluating news. Next, there is a reporting or evidentiary method. In applied linguistics and journalism, reporting or evidentiary methods involve the systematic collection, analysis, and presentation of data to support claims or arguments in applied linguistic research. In applied linguistics, researchers might employ methods such as discourse analysis, corpus linguistic, or ethnographic observation to gather evidence on language use, language teaching, or language policy. They may report their findings through descriptive statistic, visualization, or thematic coding, providing an objective and transparent account of their data. In journalism, reporters use evidentiary methods to gather and verify information, often through interviews, document analysis, or observation to support their news stories. They may present their evidence through quotes, data visualization, or narrative storytelling, aiming to provide an accurate and a balanced presentation of events or issues. In both fields, the goal of reporting or evidentiary method is to provide a credible and trustworthy account of the data, allowing readers or audiences to draw informed conclusions. The third is a linguistic technique. Linguistic technique is employed in applied linguistics and journalism to study, interpret, and display language data in order to achieve certain objectives. Applied linguistics use approaches such as critical discourse analysis, pragmatics, and conversation analysis to investigate language usage in social situations, revealing power dynamics, ideologies, and social interactions. Linguistic approaches such as phonetics, phonology, and syntax can also be used by researchers to study language acquisition, teaching, and contact. Linguistic strategies employed in journalism include framing, rhetorical analysis, and linguistic profiling. Journalists may also use linguistic techniques such as interviews, transcribing, and content analysis to collect and present information. And they frequently use language devices such as metaphor, imagery, and allusion to express complicated concepts and emotions. Next, narrative technique. Narrative methods in applied linguistics is the study of how stories are formed and transmitted via language with an emphasis on features such as a structure, coherence, and viewpoint to better understand how narratives shape and reflect reality in society in and individual identities. In journalism, narrative technique refers to the tactics used by journalists to produce a captivating story, such as the use of descriptive language, character development, and story structure that attract readers while providing information properly and efficiently. Both areas investigate how narratives shape audiences' perception and comprehension of events, with a focus on the communication of storytelling in communication and its impact on public debate. And there is a method of interpretation or meaning. In the field of applied linguistics, researchers use various frameworks such as semantics, pragmatics, and discourse analysis to examine how language is used to convey meaning in different situations. This involves investigating how factors like the context, the speaker's intentions, and social norms impact the way messages are interpreted. Similarly, in journalism, professionals analyze how news stories are constructed and presented to ensure that the intended meaning is clearly and accurately communicated. This includes considering the impact of word choice, framing, and context on the message. Ultimately, both fields recognize the crucial role interpretation in shaping public opinion and understanding, and seek to uncover the complex relationships between language and meaning. So the summarize is the text discusses the intersection of applied linguistics and journalism, highlighting four key areas where the two fields overlap. The first area is news or news judgment, where both fields examine how language influences news production and consumption with a focus and critical discourse analysis, framing, and language ideologies. The second area is reporting or evidentiary methods, where researchers in both fields use systematic methods to collect, analyze, and present data to support claims or arguments, with a focus on transparency and credibility. And the third area is linguistic technique, where applied linguistics and journalism employ various linguistic approaches to study, interpret, and display language data, including critical discourse analysis, pragmatics, and conversation analysis. And next, the fourth is narrative technique, where both fields investigate how narratives shape and reflect reality with a focus on structure, coherence, and viewpoint in applied linguistics, and the use of descriptive language and story structure in journalism. Overall, the text highlights the importance of understanding the complex relationship between language, meaning, and communication, both in both applied linguistics and journalism. Next, we are moving on to the problem two. This is the second problem. So the problem is, imagine you are a language planner working for the government of a country with a diverse linguistics landscape. The country has several indigenous languages spoken by different ethnic groups, as well as a dominant national language used for official purposes. Your task is to develop a language policy that promote linguistic diversity while ensuring effective communication and national unity. And the question is, how can the government promote the use and preservation of indigenous language through education? The answer is, this is the problem solving. To preserve and promote indigenous languages through education, the government can adopt a multifaceted approach. And one key strategy is to introduce bilingual and multilingual education program, which enables students to learn in both their native language and the national language. This approach strikes a balance between preserving cultural heritage and preparing students for national and global engagement, developing curriculum that incorporate indigenous language and culture is also crucial, as is training teachers to deliver bilingual education effectively. Recruiting indigenous teachers who are native speaker can further enhance language preservation and provide positive role models for students. By doing so, the government can help to promote linguistic diversity effective communication, and national unity. And community engagement and support are equally important in this endeavor. Collaborating with indigenous communities and involving language experts and elders in the education process can provide authentic language exposure and cultural knowledge, establishing language resource centers and offering legislative recognition and protection for indigenous language in education can also help to promote language preservation. Additionally, leveraging technology through digital platform and media program in indigenous languages can make learning more accessible and engaging for young people. This can include developing language learning apps, creating educational video and podcasts, and establishing online language exchange programs. By combining these strategies, the government can create a comprehensive approach to language preservation and promotion, ultimately enriching the cultural heritage of indigenous community and fostering a more inclusive and diverse society. And this is the conclusion. So the conclusion is the government can preserve and promote indigenous language through education by adopting a multifaceted approach. This includes introducing bilingual or multilingual education programs, developing curricula that incorporate indigenous language and cultures, training teachers, and recruiting indigenous teachers. Additionally, community engagement and support are crucial, involving indigenous communities, language experts, and elders in the education process. The government can also establish language resources centers, office legislative recognition, and leverage technology to make learning more accessible and engaging. By combining these strategies, the government can promote linguistic diversity, effective communication, and national unity, ultimately enriching the cultural heritage of indigenous communities and fostering a more inclusive society. And I think that's all for my presentation today. The I hope the problem solving is help to help you enough. And thank you and have a great day.